Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, destination Wichita for Grant McCasland and the Red Raiders as a 3 seed. And we begin, all due respect, to UNCW week. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again. Now on the other side of a selection for Texas Tech, Grant McCasland and the Red Raiders as a 3 seed will be headed to Wichita, not Falls, Kansas, a lesser Utah, just by virtue of not being in the great state, of course, but nonetheless to face UNC Wilmington. So we'll get into some things here early on as we're all trying to process this just within a few hours of that selection being made. We'll get into some things from a matchup perspective within this first round. I also want to talk druthers. Did we get them? Do we have our druthers right now? Are there things we missed out on or didn't get that maybe you were wanting, or some of what you were looking for maybe showing up? So we'll get to those lists in just a moment. But in general, Chris, this is what you've pointed to, a destination in Kansas or a destination in Colorado. And so this is where we wind up. And I'm wondering how it's sitting with you now that you've got a little bit of time at least to go over it.
Yeah, I mean, you're 508 miles from home. I think that was just the way it worked on these predetermined first and second round sites, however many years ago that they had assigned these, and that's just the way that this one works. So it was you were rewarded in a way by getting to go to Wichita, and for folks in the Metroplex or for it's easy to get to it. These are Thursday, Saturday games, and I think that when because I told you this earlier in the day, I was a little bit nervous seeing a lot of BYU projections, and I'm thinking, well, that can't be because of the second round component. Well, they can't play on Sundays, and then because you only played them once instead of twice, then it would have been a possibility that you could have seen them in the second round. And my main thought is I want to see somebody you haven't seen yet, but then too, like, they're going to scoop up all the tickets. These BYU people are everywhere, and so, but yeah, it'll be Houston and Texas Tech fans, and I think in Missouri that will participate in a lot of the ticket sales and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, you're playing in an arena that's about I think I looked it up. It's about 15 years old. It holds about 15,000. It's a home to an indoor football team and a hockey team, the Thunder and the Force. But it's apparently a great arena, and that's where you'll call home for this upcoming weekend, if you will. So, and I kind of had looked at about 8 possibilities for first round, and so I kind of as I crossed them off as they revealed it, because your region was the last one revealed, it really all pointed to UNC Wilmington, unless it was just all haywire, which a lot of people nationally think the bracket did go a bit haywire based on a couple teams that got in. Yeah, I'm talking to you in Austin and at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Look, this is a team from the coastal that I think that you were going to get one of these, kind of teams that you don't know much about and that are probably pretty good in their league. And, but and we'll get into them a bit more, but I just, I have no qualms with your draw. I think that maybe too many people will automatically go, oh man, cakewalk all the way to San Francisco, bring on the Gators. I mean, yeah, you gotta slow down just a bit. And I'll wait on the Gators because they're pretty good.
Yeah, come on, Norfolk State.
Yeah,
do some heavy lifting for all of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think certainly compared to last year where you felt like you had about a 5-minute stay in the NCAA tournament. This feeling on Selection Sunday quite a bit different, Chris, because you're not drawing a team on a historic heater, America's sweetheart, and maybe America loves UNC Wilmington all the same. I don't know, but definitely a different feeling in that regard as compared to where we were at this time a year ago. And I do think if you want to be bold enough to look ahead, I feel like there were some various projections that kind of had you in maybe some more challenging situations, but what would be some interesting or entertaining situations. You and I were texting about some projections regarding Chris Beard and the Rebels of Ole Miss, and whether you wanted it or you didn't want it, whatever, you sidestepped some of these things. So I think it is interesting. And if you hadn't outlined it or looked at it yourself, you've got Missouri as an upper seed, Kansas and St. John's there with you in the bracket. But I guess it just depends maybe on what people were more so kind of prioritizing. Like, do you look sort of advantageously at the path? Do you think, whoa, here's a little smoke as far as some entertainment and maybe a ticket I want to buy, or whatever way you're valuing the bracket? But I do think competitively Texas Tech wound up in a semi-fortuitous position, but that also kind of comes with, I suppose, being a 3 seed as well. You're supposed to be in that spot.
Yeah, that's right. You earn the right for people to look at it and go, okay. I mean, that it's set up for you to advance to the second weekend. That's what, and then all bets are off past that. But it's set up for you to give you some advantage close to home, weaker opponent. I think you're a 15.5 point favorite, as I've seen the odds makers already setting lines to these games over UNC Wilmington, and the I was as intrigued by the second, like your potential matchup in the second round as anything, because I haven't watched Missouri a ton, but they've got to win over Florida. They've got to win over Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and a bunch of SEC teams. Their net is like 16th. They were, right there in the meat of that Southeastern Conference. They'll be closer to home than you are. They're only 300 plus miles away, and you're 500 miles away, at least from Lubbock. Now, I think a lot of your fans, obviously living in the Metroplex and all that, would have be able to get there. But that Drake is tricky. That's Ben McCollum. We all know the history of Ben McCollum. Grant, flirted, and they tried to get it done there for a while, and there's just so many people that thought he just doesn't want to be an assistant anymore. He wants to go be a head coach, or he wants to be a head coach, and he's not going to. And sure enough, he waited till this opportunity, and heck, his name's getting thrown around for Indiana and Iowa and a whole bunch of other places now. But they were like, what, 30-4?
30-3.
Yeah, this is a team that Texas Tech scrimmaged back in October here in Lubbock. So you will have seen them, and I think that it was reported that you beat them by like 7 or 8 points or something. But it's not going to shock me at all if they put a big-time scare or beat Missouri. It's just not. I think that that's a bunch of guys that he's got on that Drake team that were looked were passed over, and he brought several of them from his previous Division II school that had won all those national championships. And anyway, so that one I was intrigued by. I've studied Missouri just a bit, but yeah, UNC Wilmington is just a total. The only common opponent that I could find was Kansas. They went to Lawrence in the non-conference. They lost, I think, 84-66. I think was the final. So they've seen, but this is the beauty of playing in a league like the Big 12. Though you should have, this time of year, it's been a war, and you've got some guys dinged up, and you've just tried to get to the end, and it was a 20-game conference schedule, all this stuff. But you should have seen a bit of everything to this point. You've seen size, you've seen elite defense, you've seen elite offense, you've played in front of 16,000, on the road multiple times, and in BYU's case, I guess, plus. Yes, and that includes you to Arizona. It was pretty full that night. You were semi-rowdy. But you've seen a bit of everything, and that's the advantage you have as a Power 4 league member, is that you are tested regularly and in a variety of different ways, whether it's environment or personnel or coaching, and you should, that should benefit you. This is a UNC Wilmington team that, their coach, Takeo Siddle, is his 5th year, I think, of being there, and they beat Delaware in the Coastal Athletic Conference championship game, and they made 4 threes. That they don't really shoot the 3. This is more of we're going to rebound. We've got a lot of size. One of their top scorers is a 6'9" kid that comes off the bench. They've got a point guard named Donovan Newby that's a 6'1" kid from Chicago that I think transferred from University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But they're kind of built to play a slower game, more of a. But your Oklahoma States, your West Virginias, your Kansas States. I mean, all these games should have prepared you for a similar matchup than this. But they make about 7 threes a game, which is pretty low, and then they give up about 9 makes a game. So they've kind of struggled to defend the 3-point line.
Well, it kind of sounds like to me you're describing sort of the opponent or matchup that we talked about wanting to avoid for Texas Tech, in the sense that it's not what they're geared most toward. I think, again, when you're comparing maybe what you're talking about from a Group of 5 or Power 5 conference, it's not quite apples to apples. But haven't we been – refresh my memory. Haven't we been kind of talking the last few weeks?
Well, Calvin, I'm going to break some news.
You don't want to see that big physical team necessarily.
I'm going to break some news to you right now, and you're going to be devastated, my friend.
All right.
You're about to watch Casey Cowan get really upset.
I already know where you're going with this. I can't be upset by these options, so I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah. The tip time for Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington will be at 9:10 Central Time Thursday night.
Whoa. All right. I will be good and lathered in boot scooting and boogieing. By the
okay, yeah. So, my man Cowan will be. There's a Brooks and Dunn concert that was canceled and rescheduled.
Right. I was hoping for a little hoops.
I know. And why can't we have? Yes, can't we have all the things instead?
That's
everything's going to happen at the same time. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I saw that. I wanted to make sure that our people knew that ASAP. But yeah, 9:10. So it's going to be a long day on Thursday, which means if it were to work out for you on Thursday night, that means you would probably play a late afternoon or evening game on Saturday as well. They won't squeeze you and tell you to play at 9 o'clock and then turn around and play at noon on a Saturday or anything like that. But
better think about that Niner at 10:30, 11 when those first beers are getting down Thursday, boys. It's going to be a long one.
Yeah, there you go. So
be a long one. But as for the size and the physicality, isn't that what we have been talking about, kind of wanting to dodge here or there? First, today's episode brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades with Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. And their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn to take your business to the next level. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. That's supplyhouse.com/TM, and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with only a few clicks. Plus, use our promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's SH5 at supplyhouse.com. Today's episode brought to you by Wayfair, and there's nothing after the holiday hustle to get you back into a routine like decluttering, refreshing, and giving your space a little TLC. Whether you're tidying up, cleaning out, or just want to give your place a new look to start the year, Wayfair has everything you need, all within your budget. And their huge selection makes it easy to find that specific item to fit your style. Plus the free and no-hassle delivery, even for the bigger stuff. Wayfair's site is so easy to navigate, you're going to find everything you need in no time. And there's something for every style, every home, no matter the space, no matter the budget. So give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. as for the size and the physicality, isn't that what we have been talking about, kind of wanting to dodge here or there?
Yeah, okay, I get it. I think this may be a bit different. I think that some of these, like Florida's physicality scares me. St. John's physicality will be a bit interesting. But I mean, you can handle it, but it's big and physical at the guard spots. Big and physical, and that's not what you're dealing with here. They do have a 7-footer. Let me see if I can pronounce his name correctly. He's from Kansas, so this is kind of a bit of a homecoming, I guess, of sorts for him. He's 7 foot 280. Harlan Obioha. He averages, I think, about 10 points and about close to 7 boards a game. But yeah, I mean, I think. I mean, big and physical only goes so far if they can't make you from making threes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're able to play that game a bit, because you did this with Arizona, you did this with Kansas. You've seen big and physical, but skilled big and physical and depth. Yeah, that's what. But that's a fair point that you make. I don't disagree with your general premise.
Yeah, but I didn't really emphasize the guard aspect of that size, kind of like you're pointing to there, and that's something that's a sort of a whole different world when you're talking about what you see in the Big 12 conference, probably. So I don't know. I did think it was interesting to hear from Grant McCasland following the selection regarding the health of Darrion Williams and Chance McMillian, guys obviously that are going to be asked about and wondered about a lot this week. McCasland said, quote, "I'm optimistic that we'll have everybody playing. At what level, I do not know. But I do know that they're hard at work and trying to get specifically Darrion and Chance ready to go."
Yeah.
We're all optimistic.
It's kind of what we said earlier. Going to be available. It just is at what level is it? And I guess you'll have all day Thursday to kind of continue the rehab and the work with them and the whole deal. But yeah, that's just what it comes down to, is at what percentage are they? And I do feel like, again, I'll echo it again, that I do think Darrion will be, close to normal. It would be my guess, unless there's some sort of setback. And I just don't know about Chance McMillian. That would be. But as we've seen, I mean, if you can play within a few points of Houston and Arizona with 6 dudes, you can damn sure do it against UNC Wilmington. That's part of the journey of in normal years, you kind of would be a bit like, oh boy, because like Iowa State is in a similar situation. Iowa State just came out they will not. It comes out after the fact, obviously, but Keyshawn Gilbert, he's out, he's done, so he's not playing for Iowa State anymore, and that's a bit of a problem for the old Cyclones. So at least you get better news than that. Like, gonna play, because I'll take. 70 or 80% of Chance McMillian or Darrion Williams is a lot better than a lot of guys out there.
All right. 9-10er. Woo-wee. And I do agree with what you're saying. And I hope, if I can just be, regarding the injuries, if I can just be greedy, how about this? Let's just cook up a blowout. Why not? Let's not take it all the way to the extent that you might have to in some other ball games. With all due respect, this is a big all due respect week for UNCW. I'm going to be saying this a few times because I do want to throw out something sort of harsh and mean, like UNC whatever or UNC whoever. But I'm not going to do that because it's an all due respect week for UNCW, Chris.
The Seahawks, yes.
With all due respect to the non-Seattle Seahawks, let's blow them out. Let's just blow them out, and let's not have to take these guys to the limit in round 1. I know much easier said than done, but I guess that's the world we're kind of assuming we're going to be living in here, is that obviously at the most important point in the season, the guys are going to be on the floor unless they're on fire or they've lost a leg or something.
Yep.
But what percentage point, we don't quite know. And obviously some of these early round matchups could really impact the percentage at which they're able to continue to play if you're lucky enough to win and continue to move on. So I'm getting way out ahead of my skis, or over my skis. I understand that, but things we're thinking about, because we got a 3 seed in Lubbock. So dare to dream.
Yeah, and you again, I just point you've earned some of this, but these are not. Some of these games do turn into blowouts. They do. Some of them are just not, as we've seen many years.
Yes.
You kind of hold on, and the whole survive in advance phrase was coined, and everybody lives by it. You just figure it out and get to the end, and you can't worry about the next one until you get through that one. And Grant will keep the foot on the gas. I would love to see Leon Horner and Jack Francis and Corbin Green. Yes. However, it's, don't just assume that you're up 18. Okay, we're good to go. No, this isn't to be messed with because what you also earned. That's why I hope there's a ton of Tech fans there. What you've also earned is that, like any Missouri fan that's there, who do you think they're going to be rooting for?
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. And FanDuel's live betting feature electrifies every moment. Whether backing your team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch shot, you're never going to miss your chance to get in on the action. Plus, the app, easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. And make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Like any Missouri fan that's there, who do you think they're going to be rooting for?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not going to root for you. Drake's going to be the same way, and then you're going to have a bunch of fans and anybody neutral that is just there to watch some hoop. They would love to see the upset. They would love to see. I watched one last year with Oakland beat Kentucky right in front of me, and the place was going. There's a ton of Kentucky fans there,
yeah.
But there was a lot of neutral and Oakland fans there, just going like unbelievable. So that's
a lot of also anti-Kentucky fans there.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So anyway, I think that that you should have a lot of a contingent there, and I think the late night tip actually maybe would help that, if anything, just because
maybe
go up the day of. Now that it doesn't start till 9:00, it would be the second session of the day. I've seen it that you can. So if you didn't get tickets from Tech, you can get tickets on the Intrust Bank Arena website. There were tickets available. So yeah, they're there to be had.
That's 9:00 Central.
I believe that's right.
Okay.
9:10 Central.
Red Raiders are made for late night tip-offs and kickoffs. This ain't no thing to us.
Yeah,
Tucson,
and everybody
Arizona,
always wants a
on Halloween or whatever. I mean, we've had these before.
Yeah. Yep.
We're nocturnal creatures, I feel like, in West Texas. That's why we go blacked out on occasion in more figurative ways than one.
Yeah.
Really quick quiz, Chris, before I let you go, any general thoughts? You kind of already alluded to this nationally with UNC or Texas. General national bracket thoughts or Big 12 bracket thoughts? Anything stand out to you? They got right or wrong?
Well, I think the unfortunate thing for the Big 12 is you only get 7 teams in. I don't know what precedence this sets. This is probably a great example of why Brett Yormark would say, see, it needs to expand to 76 because your league would have benefited from at least one more additional bid because you got squeezed. I also think that there was a lot of work done. So what we're hearing, okay, you can agree with it or disagree with it, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do understand it. I think what we're hearing is that the SEC got 14 teams in, and a lot of that work was done in November and December. You know, you looked up and they dominated the non-conference portion of the schedule. There was a lot of impressive wins. They beat a lot of who's who out there, did these SEC schools. I mean, Auburn beat Houston, and I mean, I just on and on. It was a bunch of them. Nobody went unscathed. A&M beat you, and yes, you didn't have JT Toppin in there, but that's what, you know. And I wonder, you're going to go back to an 18-game conference schedule, and so it would allow everybody in the Big 12 to take a few more swings with certain games in the non-conference, but those hold some weight, especially when your league does its part. And not just you, but whether it is just you or whatever, you've got to focus on what's going on in November and December, because as the committee, people are pointing at like Oklahoma and Texas and their conference records. The committee doesn't look at that. They just look at who you're playing and who you beat. And so there was enough games, I guess, back in November, December that elevated, add that to like what little they did do in conference. And that's because some people are saying, how can a 6-12 team in conference play make it in? It's ludicrous. I don't disagree, but the committee's looking at the whole picture. So a game on November the 5th is just as important as one that is in, February the 27th, assuming that was against a really good opponent and the location or whatever it may be, and who won or lost. So that's but I didn't know it at the time, but that Colorado win over West Virginia was really costly. And I wonder if that was a nail in their coffin that did it in the conference tournament. I was back at the hotel on Wednesday night, and the Red Raiders weren't playing till the next day, and I saw Coach DeVries and all those players, and they're hugging family members, and they had all their stuff packed, and they were getting on a plane headed back to Morgantown. And I don't know if they would have thought, damn, we just screwed it up, we're out. But that maybe is what happened here.
I don't know. I think you may be overthinking it a little bit because of all the things we can concentrate on or focus on to improve your resume. Have we considered making your athletics director the chair of the selection committee? That seemed to help North Carolina. Yeah. And then he goes out and says, regarding West Virginia, they had an outstanding year. Unfortunately, Tucker DeVries was hurt. Player availability was something we talk about quite a bit. Following his injury, as I found out this afternoon, West Virginia still racked up more quad one wins without him than North Carolina did. So maybe the AD just being the chair of the selection committee, also something to emphasize and put on the list of priorities. Just throw it out there.
That's fair. I mean, they beat. Didn't they beat? I think West Virginia beat Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. They beat Gonzaga. Yeah. There was some.
Arizona.
They beat Arizona on a neutral floor back in one of those tournaments. I mean, yeah, they. So I don't know, man.
Interesting optics, Chapel Hill wise, for sure. You got to love college sports, right?
Yeah, and as far as your bracket goes, I saw, like, I've watched Florida a lot. They are anybody that says Florida doesn't scare me. Psh, like, Florida playing your A game is a problem, but you don't have to worry about Florida until you would get to San Francisco, because I believe that's where you would go. It would be Wichita, San Francisco, San Antonio would be kind of the way you would go since you're in the West region. We obviously were in San Francisco last time we were in the Sweet 16 and lose to Duke there, where the Golden State Warriors play. But St. John's will be a problem. They'll be very trendy. That's a
hey, maybe we finally get our crack at St. John's after they dissed our trip, right? Remember?
That's a great point. Yep, they pieced out. That's kudos to you, man. That's a great one to bring up.
They bitter for a long
they
time.
are elite on defense, is St. John's, and I think Florida is elite on the offensive end of the floor with a lot of depth and size and everything like that. And that's the beauty of playing in the Big 12 is if you can handle, and you did, one of the very few teams that did, if you can handle what Houston throws at you defensively, you can handle anything. It doesn't mean that you will or you'll do it well or anything, but you can do it. And offensively, so I guess I just look at it and go, it could have been a lot worse. Sure. It could have been a lot worse on paper. And I've even seen some people, and this is a compliment to you, I've even seen some people say that Florida has the toughest road to get to San Antonio of all the number one seeds. And again, I think that's pointing directly to you and St. John's as saying, watch out, watch out. So we'll kind of see how, but UNC Wilmington's the first problem. And you just treat these as, because this is what happens. This is what I was going to say. This is what happens. Like, as soon as the team finds out where they're going, you immediately started tapping into all these analytical sites and you start gleaning as much information as you can off of this opponent that you wouldn't have seen. Then there's a million people on your staff they start going toward people that, I mean, I wouldn't even rule out Grant McCasland calling Bill Self and saying, hey, man, what do you remember about them? You played them. But a lot of those conversations will go on initially throughout the week. And it just will happen. And hey, how big really are they? How quick really are they? What do they do? Yeah, because you can look at numbers and watch the film, but you want to talk to one of your buddies or somebody that played against them. And so if there's any relationships out there, that's what will go on, on the Sunday evening, Monday portion of it. And then you've got people digging into 34 films or whatever you're looking at in all their games and things like that. But and somebody's probably already kind of been assigned to the Drake Missouri aspect of this deal too, just so you can kind of be prepared if you do win because you won't have much time at all. And it's fascinating to me because, I mean, you saw Drake in your building. Nobody was there, but you except for a bunch of fantasy campers. That was the weekend that Grant McCasland had his fantasy camp, and I think they were let in and allowed to watch. But you saw them play Drake, or you got to play Drake, and this head coach well, and all that. So that would be a fascinating kind of side note as well. And you tried to hire him. But that's kind of all the things that will occupy a lot of Grant and his staff's time in the coming hours and days leading up to this deal before this team heads to Wichita on Tuesday.
Can't wait. We've gone over what it looks like on paper. Love to hear from you and how you feel about that. Shoot us a text if you're a Matador mobster. Leave us a line in the YouTube comments section. And, of course, be advised that by Thursday around noon, the paper has been lit on fire. So make of what it looks like on paper, if you will, and then realize reality sets in very, very quickly. And, well, that's why we love it. Except our portion of the bracket, we're looking for a lot of chalk where the red and black is. So hopefully we are not too surprising or shocking to the nation on Thursday night around 9 o'clock. Chris, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoyed it, and looking forward to a fun week. So we'll see you for the next one.
Yeah, man. It's now we know. Now you know where you're going. Hope to see many people there. You know who you're playing. Let's go. It's now time. It's all getting very, very real. So we'll talk again soon and kind of dig in more into the Seahawks. Their little hashtag is Tidal Wave with a D. Tidal Wave. Sammy the Seahawk. I guess it's like the whole. It's like a wave thing that they're big into teal. Yeah, I don't know.
That hand motion is good.
No, well, that's like it's pictured like the wave.
What is their mascot? Liberace? Stop it.
You know what I mean? You'll know if you Google it. You'll know what
I'll be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, it's like this wave that curdles right there. Anyway,
right.
I don't know. That was bad. That was a bad look on my part.
They could be very comfortable in San Francisco if they were to advance. But we're going to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Appreciate you and appreciate everybody for being out there. Thanks to the everydayers as always for joining us once again. Sometimes even twice an everydayer kind of day arrives, and well, we're in that kind of season right now. Shout out to the Matador Mob as well. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial at your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.